Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey everybody, how is everybody doing today?
Guess what it is? It's springtime.
Yes, this is my kind of weather.
And that means that we are basically getting ready to start our podcast off, and we have the listening audience out there, and we're glad to have you amongst us.
Yes, we are.
And with that being stated, you have Lady
Shareen Clark.
and BC. And today we're going to be talking about a lot of things. But before we get started, we're going to let you know again what this podcast is all about.
So, it's called the 4E's Podcast. And we're going to talk about some education,
Entertainment,
some empowerment,
and enlightenment.
yes,
And with you, the listening audience, being out there, tuning into us every Monday between the hours of
4 and 5.
and 5. And we have our technical assistant in the background.
Yes, we do. Hey.
Hey, what's up? Can you want to give a shout out? I know you don't have a mic, but you want to give a shout out from the back? He says hi. That's our man. Yeah, he's controlling our lights,
Cameras.
and our action. He's also the man on the switcher. So when you see the cameras bouncing from one person to another,
That's it.
he's taking care of that for us, and we appreciate him very much.
Yes, we do.
So what are we going to talk about today?
So today we're going to talk about business and how to get started, and we're going to talk about the LLCs
We're going to talk about the S Corp.
and proprietorship.
That's right.
Yes.
And with you being the listening audience, hopefully you're going to gain from what we have to say and what we have to teach. And hopefully if you have any questions, we'll take some call-ins in the near future. We are working on getting everything up and running in our podcast.
Yes, we are.
So we're looking to actually have a like page.
Yes, on Instagram.
We also have a Wix page where you can actually go up and see us. That's our web page.
It sure is. And we're going to be coming live on YouTube, and we're thinking about Facebook. So you'll be able to see us on different channels.
In addition to that, you will have an opportunity if you wish to go out there and donate. We will have things like Zelle and
Vimeo.
Cash App. So if you like us, we're going to have a page where you can go up and like our videos so that you can share it with other individuals out there.
Yes.
Because as you know, this operation that we're in takes a lot of time, energy, and preparation. But also we have other things that we have to take care of, like lighting, electricity,
Yeah,
the rent. And we need you guys to assist us. If you like our podcast, we want you to come in and join with us as we go down this journey. This is our second episode. Thank you, Lady Shareen.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, and thank you for having access to your studio, which is groundbreaking. And if individuals want to partake in having the opportunity to actually have their photos and or videos done, they can contact you. How, Lady Shareen?
They can contact me. I can give you my number. It's 908-731-2035. Or you can go on Facebook, Shareen Pitt, and leave me a message, and I'll definitely get back to you.
All right. In addition to that, if you want to get in contact with your boy, BC, you can just contact me at BC Landscaping 12. That's right, BC Landscaping 12 at gmail.com. And I'm telling you that we're going to bring you everything that you could ever want and all the things that you need.
Yes.
So if you have something going on and you would like to be on our podcast and you want us to come out and actually videotape it and go live, we could actually do that.
We sure can.
We could do live. We could do a live feed, or we could actually do what in videography we call historical data. We can put that into our banks, and at any given time that you say execute,
That's right.
we can execute that.
We can execute it. Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
In 2 weeks, we have several speakers that are going to be coming on. We have an individual that actually has a doctorate degree, and he's going to be coming on. We already secured that date,
Yes.
and he's going to basically be talking about education and the role it has played in his life and has allowed him to aspire to bigger and better things.
Yes.
And then,
Awesome.
Lady Shareen, you have another young lady that's going to come in and going to be talking to us about what?
She's going to be talking about the film industry. So it's going to be awesome. She's an assistant director, and she also teaches anyone who wants to be a PA, which is called a production assistant. So it's very interesting stuff. So definitely want to be a part of that.
And that's the entertainment and education part of what we do.
Yes.
But in addition to that, we have a DJ I spoke with today. He's going to be coming on, and he's going to definitely be talking with us. That's going to be one of our canned programs, meaning he will not be live, because a lot of times when we're on air, other people are on air. But he definitely said, man, whatever he could do to help grow the podcast, he's there for us, and he would love to come on and be a part of our family. And this is like a family affair, because we believe that if we each one teach one, that we can all grow.
That's it.
And we can all aspire. So let's just jump right in, Lady Shareen.
Let's jump in. Come on.
All right. So let's talk about the basic. Before you even think about opening a business, what are some of the basic things that, Lady Shareen, you would tell an individual to think about?
I would say definitely research the field or the area that you think that you want to start the business in, because you need to know who are your competitors. You need to know that you have all the information that you need to start it, because there's a lot of steps, and there's a lot of things that you really, really need to know before jumping into it. Yeah,
but before you even jump into doing the formation of your business, like Lady Shareen said, you really have to do the research.
Yes.
You really have to think about it.
That's right.
Sometimes I think individuals think that just going into business is just you open your doors and people just come flooding in.
Yeah,
is that what happened? Is that what happened with you, Lady Shareen?
Not at all. It would be awesome if that happened.
Yeah, I echo that. I mean, I've actually owned 2 businesses. I've actually been a part of more than 2 businesses that actually launched. And one of the things that you really have to consider is that if you become self-employed, we all know what it is to like work a 40-hour job for somebody.
Yeah.
We all understand
Absolutely.
that. We all understand when the individual says you got to come to work at 8 o'clock,
That's right.
and that you're going to get off at 5 o'clock,
Yeah.
and that you have a half an hour for lunch. We all understand that.
We understand.
You are listening, audience. I'm pretty sure you've been a part of that. Now, you might not have worked 8 to 5. Maybe you worked a 7 to 4, or maybe you worked a 3 to 11, or maybe you worked a 11 to 6 in the morning. I've kind of done all of those shifts, you know, and I know what it took to be present on those jobs. But now you're coming to a awakening in your life, and you realize that you don't want to do that anymore.
Right.
That you want to go out there. What do you want to do, Shareen? You want to go out there and do what?
You want to have some freedom.
You want to have some independent self-control.
Yes.
Don't have to listen to nobody.
That's it. You your own boss.
That means that you comes with all of your own responsibilities.
Absolutely. Yes. It's definitely your responsibility.
That means
everything.
If you have a delivery and it's supposed to be there at 6 o'clock, you can't blame the next person for not having it there, and you don't get there to 6:30 or 7 o'clock.
This is true.
In addition to that, when things go right, you get all of the praise.
Yeah.
When things go wrong, you get all of the blame.
Absolutely. I like that.
Yeah.
But it's so true, though.
Yeah. So being an entrepreneur is very rewarding. I just, as I talk to Lady Shareen and I talk to other individuals, if I have any, and I don't have many, I have very few actually, but if I have any regrets, one of the things that I wish I would have done early in life, and I mean, when I say done, I mean really do, not as in done, because I did do. I did do what I'm doing now. I've been an entrepreneur all my life. And as I shared earlier in one of our previous podcasts, my father was an entrepreneur. As Lady Shareen, you shared in one of our previous podcasts, your father was an entrepreneur.
Yes, and still is.
Yeah, and he's actually taught you to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And my father, because one of the things that I think you can tell young folks today is that you want them to be able to emulate what you do, because you model the behavior in which you're trying to get them to learn.
Right.
A lot of times people say, do as I say, do as I do, not as I say. You know, But in business, you are, if you open up your own business, you are that person.
You are that person.
You are the ones that everybody that you put on payroll or that you pay is responsible for carrying out your mission.
That's right.
A lot of people, when you start a business, don't sit down and actually think about a mission statement. But I think that there's a place in any business for you to have a mission statement. And that mission statement is kind of your beacon. You know, when ships sail on the ocean, they have, and I never understood this when I was a kid, why is that light tower there? And the light tower was put on the shore to alert the captain of the ship that, you know, there's ground over here. You just can't keep sailing or taking your boat and going in the ocean without having some kind of a measure of knowing where you're going.
Guideline.
Back in the day, before there was satellites and podcasts and cell phones, individuals navigated the seas by looking up in the stars. And that's how they were able to figure out where they were and where they were going. I can't even imagine being a traveler back then, what that was like. But if you study the stars, then you know those things.
That's right.
Well, when you go into business, you kind of got to study the lay of the land.
That's right.
You got to figure out what it is exactly that you want to do.
That's so true. What you want to do and how do you want to do it, you know? 'Cause
Right.
if you don't know that, lots of times business owners, they jump in it and then they don't last long because they didn't do the research.
There's crazy research out there that says that, you know, 2/3 of businesses that start close their doors within the first 5 years.
Yeah.
So if you want to be successful at being in business, you have to do the research, as Lady Shareen said. You have to understand the market that you're about to enter. And just because you open your doors, don't mean people are going to come.
That's so true. As a matter of fact, they don't even know you're there. So you have to let people know where you are.
That's right. Back in the day when I was going to school, the number one thing that they always taught in business school when I was going to Rutgers University was that the business number one rule is location, location,
That's right.
and location.
All right.
Well, in today's world, it's not about the location. I'm sorry, let me stand corrected. It's not about the brick and the mortar location.
Right.
It's not about where you do business, whether it's your living room, whether it's your office,
That's right. Whether it's the beach.
whether it's the beach, whether it's your cell phone.
Whether it's your cell phone, yes.
Yeah. But one of the things that you have to do is you have to position yourself in a way that can draw people to you.
Right. That's
So
true.
one of the ways that Lady Shareen draws people to her is what?
My personality.
Okay. And what else? Come on.
And of course, just knowing how to do the things that I say that I do. You know, being honest, being a people's person, you know, being polite, you know, just treating people good, basically, you know, building friendships.
Exactly. But a lot of what I hear you say all the time is that, like, just today you said A, B, C. What are you going to be doing tomorrow? I'm like, Lady Shareen, you know, what are you cooking over there in that pot? She says, well, what are you going to be doing tomorrow? I said, I don't know. I got to go do some estimates. I got to do that. But what did you actually educate me about tomorrow? What's going to happen tomorrow between you and I?
We're going to actually live stream a funeral.
Wow. And how did that connection come about?
That connection came about from my cousin, actually, and I didn't even know she worked at a funeral home. And
Wow.
she saw me at my cousin's funeral, and I've done some other funerals with Brian. And she said, wow, you did an amazing job. So she actually told the funeral director, listen, you know, I highly recommend her. And she gave me a call, and I said, sure. I
So,
got you.
in business, here we go. We're getting there. We're bringing you in slow, but we're getting there. So that happened because of word of mouth,
That's right.
because of somebody you knew.
Somebody I knew, yeah.
It was a direct correlation between when you go out there and you do business. I don't care if you're doing landscaping. I don't care if you're doing photography. I don't care if you're DJing. I don't care if you're delivering widgets or whatever you want to call it. You have to create a good word of mouth.
You do.
You have to have people that know you and can vouch for you and that can put your name out into the universe.
This is true.
Because any business that doesn't do business is going to fail to be in business. The business of business is doing the business.
That's right.
And a lot of times what happens is that in order for you to be successful, you have to pour in. A lot of people have some misnomer that you start a business and everything's just going to be perfect. Everything's going to work out. You're not going to have to go out. But I tell people all the time, in order for you to be in business and be successful in business, one of the key things you got to know is your self-worth. You want to talk a little bit about the self-worth of being in business, Miss Lady Shareen?
Sure, you definitely have to know who you are and how much you are worth, because if you don't, anybody can come to you and say, hey, can you do this for free? Or, hey, can you do this at this discount? But you have to know, your worth. You have to know what your work is worth. If you know that you produce great work, then you have the right to charge the amount of money that's going to get you, what you need and going to get you that business. Knowing, and not even just in business, but knowing who you are and your worth will take you far in life itself.
Yeah. So let's give them a little key of what we mean by self-worth. So let's say hypothetically you want to become a baker. I'll just use that. It's something outside of what I do, but I understand. And I think the listening audience will understand. So most people think that, you just set a price on what it costs for you to sell a cake. Let's say apple pie, right? And you say, okay, my apple pie is going to I'm going to charge $7.99. All right. So you say, okay, $7.99 is going to be the cost for the apple pie. So people say, okay, that's a good starting point. I know what it's going to cost. But then when you start digging into it and figuring out what constitutes making an apple pie.
Right.
Listen to audience. I know you know the analogy because I'm pretty sure some of you have baked pies before. But let's just go down the path. So the first thing you have to do is you have to have a place where you're going to bake the pie.
Right. Absolutely.
And that means you're going to have an oven, which in most cases is going to be fueled by some form of electric or gas.
Okay.
You're going to have some pans, some pots. You're going to have some stirrers and or mixers. All your equipment. So right off the top, before you even sell one pie, you have to invest in, for lack of a better word, capital investment. Now, maybe you don't own the building. Maybe you're cooking at mom's house or your girlfriend's house or whatever. But you got to invest in something. You got to have a blender. That's going to cost you, let's say, $400 to $600 to get a decent blender. If you want to get a real nice blender, you can spend $2,400 without even blinking an eye. You're going to have some pans, some pots.
That's it.
You're going to have some spoons.
A lot of stuff. So tell me, Brian, so how did you come up with the $7.99?
I'll just pull that out the sky because I can pull it out the sky because I understand business a little bit. But anyway, what I was trying to get to at the end of the day, now you have all of those things, right? And you say, oh man, I'm ready. Now you got to go to the store. Or you're going to go to ShopRite? Or you're going to go to Acme? Or you're going to go to Stop and Shop? Where are you going to go to get all of these things? Or are you going to be a little smarter, a little wiser, and you're going to go to like
Restaurant Depot.
Restaurant Depot. All right. So
There you go.
now, let's say hypothetically you don't have a car. Now you got to figure out how are you going to get to Restaurant Depot.
Well, if you don't have a car, you have to see who can deliver to you. If you don't have a car, because now we live in a time where you can order online and it gets shipped straight to you.
Yeah, I don't know if Restaurant Depot is delivering, but let's say
They
hypothetically they don't.
deliver.
They're not delivering. You got to come to them, right?
That's right.
So there goes some of your discount because you're buying in bulk.
Right.
Now, in addition to buying in bulk, you say, "Oh wow, I'm on my way." Okay, where are you going to store all this stuff? Is it going to be put in a safe, sanitary environment? Is it going to be stored properly? And then now you still have to buy other things. You got to buy milk.
Yeah.
You got to buy apples. You got to buy
Buy
sugar.
a lot of stuff.
You got to buy flour. So when all of these things go in, before you even started baking or putting together that first apple pie, let's say hypothetically you got $2,000, $2,500 invested before you even make your first apple pie.
That's right.
Wow, you say, "Oh man, I'm on my way." Okay, you are. You have really thought this out. You thought about what products you need. You thought about what utensils, utilities you need in order to make this thing happen. But now, after all that is said and done, you bake your first 5 apple pies. All right? So, man, I sold 5 apple pies. I said $7.99. Let's just round it off to $8. You sold 5 pies. How much money did you make? Okay. Now you got to figure out, and do the math, guys. I'm not doing it for you. Now you got to figure out, after you made all of that money off of those 5 pies
Yes.
that you sold for $8, where did your profit come in?
Right. You got to make a profit in order to stay in business.
But if you only sold
Yeah,
those
profit.
and that's it, and that's all you sold, and you don't sell no more for another week or 2 or 3 weeks, all of those things that you bought, they're still being stored. You're not making any money. And now you got to figure out how you're going to pay for that person that drove you to the store to get your product.
That's right.
You got to figure out the boxes that you bought to put those apple pies in, the labeling that you bought to label the apple pies, and getting the word out. Now, this is the reality. Anybody that's starting a business probably already started the business before they start the business.
Right.
All right. Lady Shareen, I'm pretty sure before you started, you already had a camera.
Yes.
Yeah,
Before
so
I started, yes, definitely.
She already had a
Yeah,
camera.
already
So
had a
she didn't have the camera she has today, because she got some
Right.
nice cameras today, believe me. But she had a camera. Before I started DJing out there and letting people know that I was a DJ, I actually had a couple of record players. I think back then they were the belt-driven 1200s. Yeah, techniques. You know, they weren't as fast as the direct drives. Anybody that's a DJ knows what I'm talking about. With the direct drive, you can scratch and it comes back quicker.
Right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm going somewhere with this. Lady Shareen, I'm going somewhere with this. Trust
I
me.
know you are,
I'm going
Brian.
somewhere with this. So you may have made your investment initially on that first camera that got you to start taking pictures of birds and nature and deer in your backyard, Lady Shareen.
Yeah, we
Deer in
had
your
a lot.
backyard.
We had a
You
lot.
know, you got leaves crawling off the trees and they
Yeah.
changing color in the fall. You out there taking pictures like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
going to be a photographer. Lo and behold, you in the studio.
Yeah.
5 years, 10 years,
I
12
tell you
years
the
later.
truth, I have a crazy story of how I got started.
Come on, let's talk about it.
I wasn't even thinking about photography. I was all into the filmmaking, and I asked my professor, what camera should I start with? And he told me, he said, a good start off camera is a Canon T4i. So I ordered it, and I got the bundle, and it came in the mail, and I was so excited. Opened up the box, and the first thing I did was just do some video, doing video. And then I discovered, the picture settings, and I took some pictures and I said, oh, these are beautiful. And that's literally how I started. I wasn't even thinking about photography, literally.
And I'm going to tell you that
Literally.
the way that Lady Shareen, I'm going to say for all intents and purposes, fell into this was because she had a desire to do something different. And because she had a desire to do something different,
Yeah.
it was by trial and error that she just stumbled, for all intents and purposes, upon a passion. Because now it's a passion for you. I don't even think that Lady Shareen thinks of this as being work. Now, is it work? Yeah, there is work. Don't get me wrong. But she would do this any day of the week, and she's going to get paid. So don't even try to come in here thinking that you're going to be like, well, you would do it because it's a passion and you're going to do it. No. That's, again, knowing your worth.
Yes.
Knowing your worth.
That's right.
So when you know your worth, then you get to charge accordingly.
Yes.
And those apple pies that you might have sold for $8, now you're selling them for $9.99. Because I don't know if y'all been in the supermarket lately, but them apple pies used to be $2.99. I went there to the supermarket the other day, and it was $6.99.
Yeah,
and that was the one with no sugar. You had sugar to it, that might have been $8.99. I'm telling you, it's like the bag of potato chips. When I was growing up, I kid around with a lot of the guys that I grew up with, and I said, man, when we first used to buy those bag of potato chips, they used to be full, at least 2/3. Now, you go buy those they're not even quarter anymore. Those 50-cent bag of potato chips, and when you open the bag, you get hit with stardust of all of the flavor that's coming out, and you got the chips laying at the last 10% of the bag.
Nothing but air.
Nothing but air. So,
this is true.
The reality is that you have to fine-tune what you're going to do, and you have to be able to sell it, market it, and then brand it so that it makes you a little different than what other people are doing. And I'm not going to tell you that you're going to be totally unique. There are certain things that are core to every business. If you're going to be a photographer, you need a camera. There's no way around it. You can't tell me you're a photographer and you don't have a camera. If you're going to be a landscaper, you're going to need a lawnmower. You can't tell people, I'm coming to cut your grass and I'm going to use your lawnmower. After a while, they're going to be like, why am I paying you? You using my lawnmower, you using my gas, and then you want to charge me what everybody else is charging me? No, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work.
I have a hard time going on people's property and asking them for anything. If I left a property and I had a rake and it broke, I'm going to HD and I'm going to buy me another rake. Because I don't want to ask somebody to borrow their tools when I get on their property. It just doesn't look professional.
No, it doesn't.
Can you imagine you selling Kool-Aid and you ask people for the water? They're going to be like, what? And I got to pay for it? Nah, it's just not going to work.
Can I get some water, Brian?
You can always get some water from me. You know that, Lady Shareen. And I know if I come to you, you're going to be able to give me some water. But
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the different kinds. We have about a little less than 20-something minutes left in this podcast episode. So the reality is that Lady Shareen and I talked about what we wanted to talk about before we came on air. And one of the things that we really wanted to get across is just the different kinds of formation of business, so that when you go out there and you start tackling what you want to do, that you have to position yourself correctly. And some of the things that you got to look at is risk management. You want to talk a little bit about risk management, Lady Shareen?
Sure. So, you don't want to put yourself in a situation where if anything happened, you lose everything that you have because you did not do the right formation of your business. For an example, like me, I am a photographer. So if someone is in the studio and I have lights, so I need to use sandbags on my lights. And if I don't, they could fall over. And if, someone gets hurt, that's a risk factor. And, if I don't have the right formation of the business that I need to have, whether it's insurance that comes along with it, if it's a LLC versus a proprietorship, they can come after me. So I need to make sure that, under the risk management, that I am totally covered.
And that, listen, that is not to discount that if you want to become a sole proprietor, that you don't become a sole proprietor.
Absolutely.
But because when I first started my landscaping, I didn't know all of these things. Even though I went to school and they taught me about sole proprietor and LLC and S Corp and partnership and all of that sort of stuff, I was so eager to start a business. I'm like, I'm going to be a sole proprietor and I'm going to start my business tomorrow.
Right. But to me, I think that that's all that we knew at first was to be a proprietor, because I had another business. It was like a catalog. Was selling different things, whether it was gifts, whether it was perfume and colognes. And I started off too as a sole proprietor. I didn't know no better. I think back then we didn't really know too much about LLCs and the other formations.
Yeah. Now, with a sole proprietor, let me just give a little insight into why you might want to do a sole proprietor. And it's not to discount that you shouldn't consider it. It just depends on how well and how big you want your company to grow. Mm-hmm. So if you're a sole proprietor, one of the first things you have to do is that you have to do a name search. You want to talk about the name search real quick, Lady Shareen?
Sure. So I'll talk about both ways, because when I first started with the first business that I did, I actually had to go to the county, which was in Elizabeth, and I literally, whatever name that I chose, which it was Sweet Treasures, I had to look through big books, and the lady told me that I had to look to make sure that nobody else had that name.
And the funny thing is that those books are so big and heavy.
Yes, they are.
I thought that I was in the Guinness-Book Library of whatever. I don't know. It was just crazy.
It really was.
The book was so heavy. And they send you down there and they be like, now this is where. So now you had to go back to when you were a little younger.
Right.
And the teacher took you in the library and said, this is where all of the fiction books are. These are where the nonfiction books are.
What section to go to. But now, because we have the internet, you actually can go on the internet and search names now, or you can go to the Small Business Association and they'll help you for free to help you formulate your business.
Right. Now, after you do the name search, it doesn't stop there. No. Get ready to get out your checkbook.
Right.
Get ready to get out your checkbook, because you have to write a fee and you have to check with each county and each state and figure out what those fees are. But the first fee that you're going to pay, hold on, we got to rewind. Before you even formulate your business, you have to go into the county, and maybe it's now being done due to COVID virtually, but you have to pay a fee.
Yes, I paid. I believe it's $125. If anyone else charges you more than that, then they're pretty much making money for themselves. It's $125, depending upon what you're actually forming. I know sole proprietor may be different, LLC, is different, and S corp is a whole different thing too. So you have to find out what fee is for each formation. I know for me, for the LLC, it was $125.
Right, but now in addition to finding out that, make sure that your name has some meaning.
Yes.
You have to make sure your name has some meaning.
Right.
Don't form a business that name has no relationship with what you're doing.
Right.
Don't form a business saying we sell ice cream and you're selling cardboard boxes.
Right.
So the name has to have some connection to you. I personally chose BC for everything I do, because I love BC. That's me. That's who I am. That's who I've been for a long time. If your name is Baskin Robbins, and that's what you've been known for, and everybody always called you Mr. Baskin Robbins, then you probably want to form an ice cream store or ice cream product line called Baskin Robbins. You got to really think about what is going to be uniquely genuine to you in reference to when you name your business.
And catchy at the same time.
And catchy, right? Yeah. I tell people all the time, if you get rid of the A, there I sit. What? They be like, what? What? I said, don't you remember? They said, remember what? Don't you remember your ABCs? They said, yeah. Well, give it an A, and there's where I sit. Now, obviously, other times people call me BC, and you can figure out what that stands for. Figure it out. My listening audience out there is very educated, so I know that you can figure it out. But you have to formulate a business that is really going to give you the power and self-worth of what you're doing, and it has to have some connection, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. A lot of businesses name themselves just their first and their last name, whatever. You can do that. You can use your initials. You can use your son's initials. You can use your son and your daughter's initials. You could do whatever you want to do in reference to it, but let it be catchy, and let it be something that is going to be unique to what makes you tick and what makes you feel that you're at home when you use that name. And it shouldn't be some name that is so sophisticated that people can't remember it.
Right.
Because when you look at AT&T, who can't remember that? When you look at Files, who can't remember that? These names are easy. They're simple. If you name something that is so ridiculous that people can't even pronounce it, let alone remember it, it's going to be a hard time when you go to brand that product.
That's so true.
So now that you have paid your $125 and you have registered with this county seed in most states, at least here in New Jersey, that's how they do it. I can't tell you what they do in Arkansas or California, but that's how they do it in New Jersey. Now you have to do something else. What is that next step, Miss Lady Shareen?
Now you have to make sure, again, that you have to do the website. You have to start branding yourself, and you also have to make yourself aware of the tax. The
taxes?
That you have
Taxes?
To pay.
We have to pay taxes?
Yes.
I'm self-employed. I don't want to pay no taxes.
Yeah, you have to make sure all these things.
So how do you pay
place.
taxes? You got to get some kind of a number. What kind of number is that? It starts with an EIN number.
Yes, EIN number.
Oh man, where does the EIN number come from?
Well, when I did mine, I actually had a representative from the Small Business Association, and I had to go to Keene. So if anyone is interested, you can actually go to Keene University, and they will help you for free. And so she actually, once she did all the paperwork, the IE number came back that day, and she printed out all my papers for me. So if you don't really know how to do it or what to do, you can contact the Small Business Association, and they will definitely help you do that.
In Union County, they're located in Cranford. I can't tell you where they're located in other counties, but in Union County, they're also located in Cranford. They actually have a actual small business association right downtown in Cranford. And in addition to that, Lady Shareen, you said some value. The Small Business Association can teach you a lot of things. They have at least 12 to 15 seminars that you can go to,
Yes.
where they can teach you about things that you're going to fall into or pitfalls if you don't pay attention. And those things are very key to any business
Yes.
getting up and operational and staying operational and staying function. I mean, I can tell you, I made some mistakes when I opened up my business. I thought I knew everything and everything was going to be just great. But there's things that you don't know.
Yeah,
And the
there's a lot
reason
of
you
things
don't know, you don't know. But let me tell you this. What you don't know can
gonna
come
hurt
back
you.
to hurt you.
Yes.
It can come back to hurt you. You think,
Yes.
oh, just because I didn't know and I didn't pay taxes for 3 quarters or
no.
4 quarters,
They're gonna
that
get
they're going to come after you.
They're gonna come after you.
And when they come after you, they're going to be giving you late fees and late filing fees and interest. And I'm just telling you, because if you get into that situation, it's very tough to get out of. And I can tell you, I know. Just let me tell you, I know.
Yes,
All right.
it's a lot
So
you have to do.
once you paid your $125, once you did the name search, once you paid your $125, now you go in, you get your EIN number. So that's it.
Yes.
You're done, right? No. You think you're done. Now you got to go to a financial institution. And what do you do with that EIN number?
You have to open up your bank account.
A bank account?
Yeah,
I got to open up a bank account?
Business bank account. Yes, you do. And all the papers that you got from formulating the business, now you must show that to the banker. And you have to, every bank is different. So you have to find out how much they want to actually start that account up. It could be $100.
Could be $500.
$200. Could be $500.
Could be $1,000.
Could be $1,000. And then
Could be
you also,
$1,500.
Exactly.
It could be $5,000.
Right. And then the other thing you have to find out is, what are the fees for opening up that account and keeping that account open? I know the one that I'm with, PNC Bank, it has to be $500 in there a month, so I don't have to get hit with a monthly service fee.
Right, and those monthly fees can vary from bank to bank.
They
They could
can.
be $10, they could be $20,
Yes.
and it depends. And then
does.
some of them have a minimum that you have to just maintain. If
That's
you
true.
go under that minimum for a day,
Yeah, they hit you with
they hit you with those
and
fees.
some are higher. It could be $1,000 a monthly fee, and some are daily. Has to be, a daily fee that has to be in there each day.
Right.
Otherwise, you get a fee that way too. So it's a lot that you really, really have to learn and know before jumping in it.
Yeah, so
You have to know.
here we go. So you did the name search, you paid your money at the county fee, you got your tax ID, and now you opened up a bank account. So now everything's ready, right? You're ready to go.
Still got some more to do.
Oh, you still got some more to do?
Got some
Okay.
more to do.
So that was the simplest way to explain opening up a just a sole proprietor. Now, if you were like me, and I started a business because I did, you're gonna laugh, but this is the part of that entertainment part of the podcast. So I started my business out as BC Production Landscaping. BC Production Landscaping. I'm like,
That's on mix, right, y'all?
I was thinking of a Biggie song, but I won't go there. All right, yeah. So you think that's it, right? So I'm riding down the road, and people like BC Production Landscaping. They're like, "Are you
What's
into
that?
making film, or are you into doing? Are you doing a sound show, or are you what's going on here?" And I kept that
Are you
for a long
gonna put
time.
lights and sound on my landscape?
That's dang on right. We're gonna bring the lights and the camera in action out here. But at that time, I was so hung up on my other business, BC Productions, that I just didn't want to let go of the name Productions. So it was BC Production Landscaping.
Wow.
So I thought of my landscaping as being a production. But at the beginning of the time, there wasn't no production. I just was cutting grass
That is really funny.
with that Craftsman lawnmower doing oval shapes on people's yards. We talked about that in the
Wow,
former
Brian.
podcast. So I then graduated, and I decided to drop the production side of BC Landscaping, and I just went with BC Landscaping LLC. So now you're at another level. You're at the different level. When you're a sole proprietor, you can have all of those things. Some people just run their money through their personal bank account, and that's just the way they do it. And you got to talk to your lawyer or talk to your financial advisor
And your accountant.
and
too.
your accountant
When
and figure out
taxes
which
come
way burst.
along,
Yeah, you figure out
Yeah.
what. Yeah. And some sole proprietor individuals been there, done that.
Mhm.
Don't take salaries and stuff like that. That's a whole nother ball
It is.
game that you got to talk about. But now you made the jump, and you decided that you were going to go from a sole proprietor to LLC. So, Lady Shareen.
Sure. So again, when I went and started Purple Sky Productions, I started it. Actually, I was still trying to do a sole proprietorship because I really didn't know. But when I went to the Small Business Association and the representative helped me, she told me, she was like, you probably would want to do an LLC. That way, you're a little bit protected. So then anything happen, they can't come, against you as an individual.
And your assets.
But now it'll be the company and not you personally. So I said, okay, so I got educated while I was with her, and that's how I came about to knowing about an LLC, and that's my company is under an LLC now.
All right. Now, a little different than a sole proprietor is there's things called articles of incorporation.
Right.
As an LLC, you have to write your articles of incorporation. And what do the articles of incorporation do? One of the things that the articles of incorporation does is it names those individuals inside of the LLC.
Yes. And with me, I'm a single member. So right now it's just me.
So you own how much percent?
100% of the business.
That's right. No share,
Right.
no
Right.
shareholders,
Right.
no individuals that you have to answer to other than yourself.
Right.
But in addition to formulating your articles of incorporation, you also have to do some other things. And one of the things that an LLC is going to be bound by, in most cases, depending on the business, is that you're going to have some kind of general liability insurance.
Right. Like you said, depending upon your business.
Yep.
You know, as for me, because I do video production and stuff like that, you know, I was telling someone the other day, if I decide to do a film in someone's establishment, the first thing they're gonna want to know is, do you have insurance?
Right.
So yeah, it's important.
Yeah. In my business, you got to have at least $1 million of insurance.
Mm-hmm.
$1 million? That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's $1 million of insurance. Don't cost you $1 million. If
Right.
that was the case, nobody would go into business. All right. But you have to be able to pay that premium
Yes.
every month,
Mm-hmm.
or you set it up where you pay it over the course of a year,
Mm-hmm.
or you set it up where you pay it quarterly or every 6 months. But you have to have that umbrella because, Lord forbid,
Something happened.
you're driving down the road in one of your trucks, whether it's landscaping, going back to the apple pie scenario, and you hit somebody. Not that doesn't get covered by your auto insurance, which is another thing that in my business, as I drive those trucks down the street, I have to have commercial plates on my truck, which means I have to have commercial insurance, which means the state is making sure that I have commercial insurance every time I go to register those vehicles. Every time those vehicles go through inspection, they have to go through inspection with the fact that I have commercial insurance behind me. In addition to that, when I go and I register the business every year, because in my business, not in everybody's business, you have to recertify yourself every year as a general. In my business, it's called a general contractor's license. DJs might have entertainment. People that cook food probably got to have some kind of a certification from the health department in not only their town, but maybe certified by the state of New Jersey. But you have to have those things in place. So when you're flying under the radar as a sole proprietor, and you may not think that you have to have a lot of these things, the reason you have these things is to protect yourself.
Right.
Lord forbid somebody was to eat one of your pies and get sick and end up in the emergency room.
Right.
They're going to come to you and they're going to be like, yo, he
I
ate your apple pie.
Right.
And now he's
I'm
in the
sick.
emergency
Right,
room.
Right. So.
And you're going to be like, that wasn't my apple pie.
Right.
Okay, well, you're going to be going to court, and more than likely it's going to cost you about $5,000
Yeah.
to $7,000 to settle out of court, as opposed to just having the insurance. And I'm not saying that you want to have the insurance because you want to use it. You have the insurance because if anything ever happens to you, and it can happen to anybody
That's true. At any time.
at any time, and it might not even be your fault. Somebody might hit you, and then you hit somebody else, and then they come after you because you got the commercial plates on your vehicle,
That's right.
or because you got cameras in the back of your car, or because somebody does a Google search and they find out that you are that person.
That's right.
So they come after you. So
That's true.
with the LLC, not only do you have the articles of incorporation, not only do you have the ownership that you have to state, you also have to, like I said, get the insurance. And then on top of all of that, let's say you have insurance, a business that uses vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get a corp code. Lady Shareen, you don't know about this.
No, I don't know about that
I know.
part.
You got to get a
These
corp
trucks.
code. And the corp code is your code to your vehicles that allows your vehicles to be registered in a commercial. And you don't have that corp code. When you go to renew that registration for that vehicle, the first thing Division of Motor Vehicles, what is your corp code? Oh, I got to get a corp code. And then your corp code has to have the articles of incorporation, have to have your tax ID, have to have all of those things connected that I just talked about.
Wow.
And you saying, man, I've been running as an LLC and I don't have any of those things. Okay,
Oh, wow.
you're good as long as you're good, But when you get and you're not good,
Right.
then they're going to ask you for those things and you're not going to be good.
Right.
So I'm telling you that I don't know these things because I just want to know them. I know them because it's the way of life in the state of New Jersey that you have to operate. Now, after all of that is said and done, you have to figure out what your business is doing, right?
Right.
Are you a taxable collecting agent
Right.
for the state of New Jersey? And I shouldn't say agent because you are a business. But are you a sales tax agent for the
Right.
state of New Jersey, which means whenever you sell a product, depending on what the product is,
Sales tax.
you got to get sales tax.
That's right.
Okay, so now I got to do one. I got to get sales tax. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't get sales tax just by collecting sales tax. Now, there's some people out there that might just collect sales tax
Yeah.
and they don't have a sales tax. user code. But you got to get registered with the state
State of New Jersey.
of New Jersey
Yeah.
to collect sales tax.
Yeah, and they'll send you the information in the mail once you fill out the paperwork and everything like that.
They're not going to send you. They're going to send you information in the mail.
Yeah, they I believe they still, yeah, because they sent it to me. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, it's a blue paper.
And guess what?
Yes.
In your business, if you're running a home office or you running a shop, you have to post that
Yes, you do. You have to post that. And it has to be posted at all times.
at all times.
That's important.
That's why when you go into establishment, look on their wall. You see it. It's a little blue piece of paper about yay big, and it sits on the wall, and it's usually in some kind of a frame and or taped to the wall behind some plastic that they put in front of it so it doesn't change colors. And then, now, here goes the funny part. Oh, wow, I don't think, you shouldn't laugh about this, but it is a funny part. Yeah, when you collect that money, Lady Shareen, hear me out. When you collect that money, Lady Shareen, hear me out. When you collect that money, that's the last time. You got to send that money.
You have to send it. And as a matter of fact, you have to actually find out, by the type of your business and how much revenue you bring in. And that depends on the amount of time that you have to actually report that.
Yeah.
Whether it's every quarter.
Quarterly.
Right. Yeah.
Quarterly.
Yep.
Quarterly. And when you're
Yep.
filing those things quarterly, they have things that you have to file them
Yeah.
under.
Yeah.
Right? You don't file those forms, and it's 3 years later, and the state find out that you've been collecting this sales tax and you haven't filed, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
They're gonna
Fines and
come
all
after you,
kinds of-
fines,
yeah.
late filing fee.
Yeah.
They can put liens on your stuff. They could just do a whole lot of different
They
things
can.
to you. They could come to your bank account and take the money. They could freeze your bank account.
Okay.
So you
Tax
making
returns.
$100,000 and you didn't
Take
file. Now you wondering why you can't get access to that $30,000 you got saved in the bank because you owed the state
Yeah.
money. Oh, IRS.
Yep.
IRS. Who are they, Shereen?
That's the Internal Revenue.
Oh, and you mean I got to pay them too?
Yes, you do.
Wow. So you mean to tell me I got to pay the state?
You got to pay the federal.
I got to pay the federal government?
Yes, you do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So those
And if
forms.
you don't, they will catch up to you
Yeah.
because they will definitely take your income taxes. You think you're getting income tax when you get your taxes done? You get a minus.
And they send you threatening letters. I mean, you don't believe it's true? Just listen to your TV.
Yeah.
Do you owe money to the IRS? That sounds like that commercial comes on every 5 minutes. We can help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
very
There's a lot of
important.
people that say they can help you. All they're gonna do is take your money.
That's
But
true.
that's another story. So
That's true.
you get wise to the game. Know the game. If you're gonna play in the game, know the pieces of the game. We
Yes.
just gave you some pieces to the game.
Yes.
We only have a few more minutes left, and we haven't even got to the next level. But we're going to talk a little bit more about not only are you responsible for paying your sales tax. Oh, hold on. Let's take it back. Not only are you responsible for formulating your business and paying the county, if you go sole proprietor, not only are you responsible for paying the state of New Jersey, if you're incorporating, and not only are you responsible for getting that EIN number from the federal government, you also are responsible if you have employees for paying your employees.
Yes. And not under the table, but
Yeah, but let's say you do pay them.
Legally.
Listen,
we can start there under the table.
if you do that, God bless you.
Right.
But the reality is, in the state of New Jersey, if somebody's working for you and they're not working independent,
Right.
you are responsible for paying them.
Yes.
And you are responsible for paying them the minimum wage, whatever
right.
that is.
That's right.
And if you're not paying them minimum wage, you're in trouble. But we're not going to go down that road. That's something that you can tackle on your own. But we're just telling you that it's out there. So when you have employees, you have to pay a contribution as an employer
Right.
to their.
Health insurance if it's set up
If
that
you have
way.
health insurance, I'm not that
Your
big yet.
Social
But you got to
Security.
pay their social. You got to pay a contribution to the Social Security.
Security.
You got to pay a contribution to the workers' comp.
That's
You got to
right.
pay a contribution to workers' comp. Oh man, yeah. If you run a business and you have
That's right.
employees working for you, you got to pay workers' comp. You got to have workers' comp policy. I have it.
Yeah.
Do I like paying it? No. Has it saved me? Yes.
I haven't got that far yet, so
That's all right.
Brian can tell you more.
That's all right. Listen, so you got to pay in your business, depending on how big you get. And if you're a sole proprietor and you don't have anybody working for you, or your husband just comes in, or your wife comes in, or your significant other comes in and helps you along the way, then so be it. Or your children help you along the way, or your great cousin or somebody else helps you along the way. But once you start putting people on payroll, you are responsible for your contribution as an employer to their wages. And you have to send that money too. And it comes out of their check. And mine, at the 5th of every month, I have to send that money to the federal government. And if you don't send it, they'll catch up with you. Believe me, just know. So all of those things are important when you're opening up a business. It is key. As we're not even going to get into the S corp today. We just don't have time. I think we've given you enough information for the 3 kinds of businesses we talked about: the sole proprietor, the LLC, and we didn't talk about the S corp, but that was the 3rd thing we were going to talk about. But when you're going into business, if you're about the business of being the business, then you need to do the business.
Yes.
And in order to do it, you got to do it right.
You got to do it effectively, because even during things happen that we don't know going to happen. And even with the pandemic and, how they're doing the PPP, or, they're giving out loans and stuff like that. So if your business is not up to par, legally, and have certain things in place, you're not able, to get some of this money. And if you do, and if they look back and see that you defrauded them, then you're going to get in trouble too. So, I mean, it really pays off to make sure you do it right.
And let me just say this to you. When you go to any institution, bank institution, or credit union or whatever, and you're trying to secure money, they're going to ask you, do you have a mission statement?
Right.
They're going to have to ask you, do you have a business plan?
A business plan, yes.
Do you have any
a
marketing plan? Do you have any historical data of the revenue that you have stated, that you have made and you have reported to the federal government and the state?
Yeah.
You can't go in there telling you want a $100,000 loan and you got $5,000 showing on your bank statement.
Right.
They're going to be like, you only made $5,000, you want a $100,000 loan, how you going to pay this back? And you don't have another job. You just been hustling.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people out there that, are just hustlers. And that's what they do. They hustle in. Yeah. And that's fine and dandy.
You just have to have your paperwork.
When you get to be 67 years of age, and all you did was make money off the books, and you go to the federal government and say, I'm here to collect my Social Security, and they say, okay, what's your name? John Smith. All right, John Smith, what's your Social Security number?
Nothing is there. You can't get
And they say, well, John Smith, you haven't worked. We have no record of you ever working.
That's right.
Well, I worked for JJJ Landscaping Company, and he told me he was taking money out. How did he pay you? He paid me by cash.
Yeah.
Okay. So they may go after JJ Landscaping Company, but JJ Landscaping Company is out of business, been out of business for 20 years. So good luck with that battle.
Yeah.
Good luck with that battle. I tell people all the time, you really need to think about what you're doing with your life and how you're living. And this is not just a business sense, even though this is about formulating the business. It's to the businesses that I say, pay your employees on the books. That helps them get to a place where later on in life they're going to be grateful that you paid them that way.
Yeah.
And that's just the way. That's
and
it's a paper trail.
Records,
everything. And if they come back to you and say you never paid me, how are you going to prove that you paid them?
Right.
So you just got to look at what works for you in your business. And I'm not telling you because I'm not the answer to all the answers that are, but I can tell you that being in business for over 13 years, I have learned a little bit and I know a little bit. And we have about a little over 2 minutes left. So we're going to kind of bring this to a close. But we want y'all to know that this podcast is serious. We're about the business, Lady Shareen.
We are about the business, and hopefully, you know, when you tune in, that you learn something, that you know, gain some knowledge and empowerment, and you know, we just want you to get the things that you need that's going to help you to exceed in life.
Yeah, and we want you to just know that we want you to feel comfortable with the subjects and the topics that we're going to talk about, that you can sit on your couch and just sit back and listen and learn from the things that we have learned, or learn from the things that we know, or learn from the people that we're going to bring in. Because the people that we're going to bring in, they're just not, you know, individuals that don't know anything. They're individuals that have actually been out there, have actually experienced the things that we're bringing them in for. And we're going to teach you all of the things that we can bring to you, because we want you to know. And we don't know everything,
Right.
but we do know some things.
Right, absolutely. And what we know, we can share with you.
Yeah, and what you're going to learn is that each one teach one. So if you have a topic that you want us to cover, or you want us to find an individual that has the knowledge, we can definitely do that for you.
Yes.
So, Lady Shareen, you want to give them your email? I'll give them my email.
Sure. It's Shareen, and it's M as in Mary, C as in Charlie, L as in Larry, K as in Kite, @gmail.com. You can reach me there and leave me a message.
Yeah, you can also reach out to BC at bclandscaping12@gmail.com. We are going to be bringing you some more interesting topics that is going to cover a whole host of things.
Yes.
Like I said, we do have some guest speakers that are going to be coming up. Some of them are going to be canned individuals, meaning that we're going to record it prior to the show, just because of time constraints on their schedule and or our timing that we actually broadcast. But in addition to that, guys, please like us when you see share us. Make sure that if you want to make a contribution, right now we don't have that set up, but we will have it set up in the very near future, where you can actually send donations, because we want to be able to keep bringing you educational,
Empowerment
entertainment
and enlightenment.
subjects that actually bring you to the next level.
Right.
So, Lady Shareen, why don't you have the last words in telling our listening audience what they need to know about closing our show?
Sure. So this is it, guys. We thank you for joining in. Tune in for the next time. You know, our guest that's coming in is going to be great. One from the film industry, and the other one, I believe, Brian said, is a doctor. So you definitely don't want to miss what we're going to be talking about. And if you want to be a part of the show, please contact us. Like Brian said, contact us, because we'll have you on the show. We're excited. So thank you.
Good night.